Legendary member of the Wu-Tang Clan, RZA, got asked about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef. And whenever a legendary person like this, and that comes from, like, I think at least, the prime hip hop where actually lyrics mattered and it was really about hip hop and not clout and murder and blah, 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 that's going on now. When they speak on certain situations, when it comes to battles, I really want to hear their opinion, because to me, I hold their opinion to really, really high regard, because they were there when it was at its prime and delivering some of the best music that they, possibly ever in hip hop culture, right? So let's go over what RZA said about the Drake and Kendrick Lamar battle, and I really liked his take on it. So Wu-Tang Clan legend shared his thoughts on the high-profile beef in an interview with Complex and questioned Drizzy's decision-making, which is another thing that I questioned, because some of it just didn't. It seemed like Drake was a little off in this battle in one way or another. I think he didn't take it, and I said this probably at least 6-7 times when talking about this battle. He didn't really take it serious, but that's no excuse, right? That's your fault for not pretending like Kendrick Lamar isn't a threat when he's literally the second biggest artist from your generation. You're the biggest because commercially, you sold the most, but Kendrick is literally second to you. He has sold 700. Damn, did almost 700,000 first week. He's been up there in high sales, has had #1 hits by himself. J. Cole has been third commercially. I'm just talking commercial success. I'm not talking anything else in quality of music, just commercially. Drake has been the #1 dog throughout that whole generation that's come. So that whole, my take on that is, like, why did he never take the second guy serious? Let's go over what RZA said, though. He said this. First of all, Kendrick is a natural lyricist, and Drake is a trained lyricist. You can train a fighter, and he could be good. Then you got those natural fighters who also then go through training, he said. So that's a different chamber there. And while Drake got bars forever, Kendrick's bars potency was stronger. So the battle bar for bar was something that was just not good advising on Drake's camp, in the sense of just getting in that fight without really taking some more training for that. When Kendrick wrote the letter to his son or his daughter and to his mother, Kendrick is going to come like that. Nas, Kendrick, Eminem, Raekwon, certain people are going to break your shit down to the element. Exactly. Shout out to RZA. He continued, said, but in doing so, I do think that a lot was said, and Drake is a powerful artist in our culture. He helped the culture when the culture needed it. He expanded it with his melodies, and he raised a generation too. And you can't take that away from him. So, of course, I agree with that. I think Drake has, of course, moved hip-hop forward. There's no question about that. And just the fact that he's been consistent throughout all these years is something that we've never seen in hip-hop. We've never seen somebody be so consistent and not take a hiatus, right? Eminem took a 4-year hiatus. Jay-Z took a hiatus of, I believe, 3 years. Yeah, somewhere around there. Every artist in hip hop has took, when they had their first run, they took a little break in between, and then they get their second leg. Usually, those legendary artists do. But Drake just never. There really wasn't that moment where you could say, "Oh, he took this break." Now, was there a year that he didn't drop an album? Yeah, but he was still active and doing features and dropping songs and stuff like that. RZA also said he hopes that the former collaborators can eventually make peace. It took years for Nas and Jay-Z to swallow that pill and then come and shake hands on it. So hopefully it is not the same. Hopefully this generation can take it as fun, like how the beginning generation took it more for fun. Hopefully as they mature more as humans, they would go, wow, that shit was crazy. That shit was fun. I ate you up, son. You know what I mean? But yo, I love that other joint. My son, love your joint. My son, love your joint. And here we are for the culture coming together. I agree on that. I think, but I don't know why. I just don't. Actually, you know what? I can see Drake and Kendrick eventually squashing this. I don't know what it would take. I don't know what moment they would do it, but I could see that happening, honestly. Even though the problem with this beef, it's been brewing for years, like subliminally, for years, ever since the Control verse. That really took things to, at least Drake took it more personal versus all the other artists. And ever since then, there's been subliminals. So when I made my Nas versus, it's hilarious. RZA's talking about it here, but when I made my Nas versus Jay-Z, Who Really Won documentary, I said in the video that that moment is two artists who are at the top of their game going at it. And that doesn't happen often. And Drake and Kendrick at the top of their game going at it, right? And I said if Drake and Kendrick were to battle, it would be like Nas versus Jay-Z, because that's like peak artist at the top of hip-hop culture going at it for the crown. Now, Nas and Jay-Z obviously squashed their beef as the years went on. Can Drake and Kendrick do it? I don't know, because Nas and Jay-Z stuff, yeah, there were subliminals, right? And it slowly started brewing up. But Drake's and Kendrick's was like years and years and years and years and years. Nas and Jay-Z's was probably 2 years, maybe 3 years of like some subliminals here and there. But look at Drake and Kendrick's was what Control came out in 2012, I think, maybe 2013. We're talking almost 10 years of just subliminally dissing each other. And then finally, Kendrick says, you know what, fuck it. After first person shooter, I'm going to go after you guys and attack you guys. You know, he even dragged J. Cole a little bit in it. But yeah, I like what RZA said, right? Kendrick is more of a natural lyricist. To him, he's more about the hip hop craft and culture and brewing a story in his albums. Has Drake done that? Can Drake do that? Yes. But I feel like Drake, and this, like Kendrick has said, to his credit, Drake hasn't, he's from Canada. He hasn't really been part of hip hop culture. He viewed it from afar and was a fan of it. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar grew up in it. Obviously, Compton and LA, gang culture, all that stuff. He grew up in it. He's part of that. He was bred in that. And for him, it's when he's rapping like that, he knows. He's seen it. He's been there. Drake has been, not to say that Drake, hasn't seen some things or done some things, but Drake's been more like, hey, I'm living with my mom. I'm an actor in my teens. I'm viewing this cool thing called hip hop, and I want to be a part of it. And there's a difference in that. And Drake is more of a trained artist versus Kendrick, who naturally has it. It's like Floyd Mayweather, natural talent. Does he train hard? Yes, but he takes that natural talent and with hard and has a hard drive, work ethic, and combines the two, and that's why he ended up being one of the best. And that applies to a lot of athletes as well. Like if you have natural talent, there's some artists that are just naturally talented at writing, and they grind really hard and they get even better, and that's how they become one of the GOATs. And that's what this guy's saying here. I mean, RZA, this guy, I just said like some random guy just said this. That's what RZA's saying here. He's saying that Drake, in a respectful way, is saying he was out of the culture. That's the way I'm taking it, at least. And he got bred into it slowly and started learning about it and slowly starting to get better and better and better. Meanwhile, Kendrick Lamar just naturally had that talent, already had an eye for words and putting them together, got better and better as he grew, but like he naturally had it and was born into it. So that's the way I took it, and I agree. I think RZA worded it perfectly. But Drake, that's not to take away from Drake. Drake is obviously a very talented artist. Has he collaborated with a lot of artists, and there are other ghostwriting rumors and this and that, and yeah, but that happens, believe it or not, to some artists that you would think writes their own stuff completely. I yet have heard a full hip hop lyrical verse written for Drake. Right? If you go to all these hip hop records that he has, the more hip hop ones, like 5 a.m. in Toronto, 9 a.m. in Dallas, these like time zone records and tracks that you just are straight bars that you're getting from Drake, I've never heard a ghostwriting of that. Now, these pop type of records where it's like, more of a melodic sound to it, you have Quentin Miller, you have a few people like Lil Yachty, stuff like that, so Drake is more of a collaborator. Meanwhile, Kendrick is more me, and I'm doing it this way, and this is the way I want to execute it. So, yeah, overall, great take on that, man. I always like when legends speak on things, but yeah, we'll see if they ever squash the beef, man. That would be really cool.